New tonight, as home prices continue to rise, new research reveals the impact housing issues have on Latino voters. CBS 8's Shannon Handon joins us now to break down the numbers and tell us how some families are getting creative to buy a home. Shannon?
Yeah, Marcella, Latino voters are expected to come out in record numbers this year, and experts say they really can impact elections. So it's important to pay attention to their concerns. Among the top ones, the cost of housing.
In San Diego County, housing is top of mind for many, but for Latino voters, it's now become the top issue ahead of this year's elections, according to UnidosUS, a Latino civil rights and advocacy organization.
If we went down to the number one issue, what's your top ranked issue? Inflation and the rising cost of living is number one.
UnidosUS hosted an online forum to go over the new survey numbers collected by BSP Research. Experts say the reason lawmakers should pay attention is because the number of Latino voters has increased year after year nationwide. In California in 2024, the Latino share of voters is projected to be 28.4%.
Latinos are tuned into the housing actions of policymakers. And as we move towards the elections, we know that Latinos will be participating in and paying attention to what is happening in Washington, what is happening in their state houses, as well as their city halls.
Samuel Kenny, a senior policy analyst with UnidosUS, says specifically they're looking for programs that can help offset costs in the short term, not long-term plans.
Whether that is first-generation down payment assistance or first-time homebuyer tax credit. And we believe that this is something that Congress can get behind because the housing crisis really is national.
In the interim, Latinos have found creative ways to purchase homes. Experts say some families live in multi-generational households and pull their resources together for more purchasing power.
You have mom and dad on the mortgage, but you might have 20-something-year-old son and grandma who are actually contributing toward that mortgage payment.
It's a strategy we could see more of as prices continue to soar. According to the Urban Institute, during the pandemic, Latino homeownership increased more than Black and white homeownership, a trend UnidosUS expects will continue, highlighting just how crucial the housing issue is.
Latinos will comprise approximately 70% of net new homeowners through 2040. The Latino community places a really high value on homeownership.
And it's not just about homeownership, but also the high cost of rent. So Marcella, lawmakers are going to have to think of some programs or think of some things that will address both those issues.
I know culturally, like the Asian family, a lot of Latino families do like to live together, but in these cases, they're having to live together to be able to afford to buy a home, and they're still facing challenges and obstacles.
Exactly. During that forum, it was mentioned, and I thought this was really interesting, that Latino mortgage denial rates are higher than for whites. And that's in part because their debt levels exceed the ratios that lenders basically rely their loans on. So that is an obstacle, but again, they're getting creative. They're finding ways to buy homes. And because there's going to be so many Latino home buyers in the next, 10, 20 years, lawmakers need to pay attention. This is what they care about. And they, like I said earlier, can really sway an election.
Path to home ownership is a basis for getting rooted into a community and not having that debt ratio, because rent, many people believe is just kind of throwing your money away at something that you don't build an asset for. So hopefully there can be some changes.
Yeah, not only for Latinos, but obviously this is an issue that impacts all of us. But It was a really interesting study that really broke down those numbers.
Thanks so much, Shannon.